got the Christmas pudding, the Christmas cake, and of course the mince pie. But what are we going to make for those people who just don't like mince pies or who just fancy something a little bit different? I'm going to show you how to make my all-time favourite Christmas recipe, which I've called the Christmas pie.
So you will need 150 grams of golden caster sugar, 1 large ripe pear, 75 grams of chopped pecan nuts, 1 teaspoon of mixed spice, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 3 tablespoons of double cream. First, what you need to do is peel your pears, core them and chop them. Now to this, add your chopped pecan nuts. Combine the mixture together and leave to one side. Now you can move on to the caramel. Right, I promise this is really simple. Add 100 grams of golden caster sugar to a heavy based pan. Turn the heat on low and wait for the sugar to start melting around the edges. Give it a little stir, not too much though, or the sugar will start to crystallise. Once no more lumps or bits of sugar are visible in the pan, add 100 grams of your pear and 75 grams of your chopped pecan nuts. The mixture will seize up at this stage, but don't worry, it will come back again to a nice smooth texture once it starts to boil. Allow this mixture to cook for 5 minutes, stirring all the time. Now turn off the heat and add 1 teaspoon of mixed spice, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and 3 tablespoons of double cream. Transfer the mixture to a bowl and allow it to cool in the fridge for about an hour. You'll need 50 grams of sugar, 50 grams of very soft butter, 1 egg, 25 grams of flour, 25 grams of cocoa powder and 50 grams of ground almonds or pecan nuts if you prefer. The butter needs to be really super soft in order to be able to make this mixture. When it is, add the sugar to it and beat the two together until you have a nice, smooth, creamy texture. It may take a little bit of hard labour at this stage. It should appear light and fluffy. Now add in your egg and mix again. The mixture may curdle at this stage, but don't worry because once you add your almonds and your flour and your cocoa powder, it will all come back. Mix well and make sure that all is well combined. Leave to rest while you roll out your pastry. See, couldn't be easier. So final stage. You need to remove your pastry from the fridge and allow it to warm up a little. So while it does, you can grease your muffin tins. Dust your surface with flour and roll out the pastry to 2 millimeters thick. Don't forget to flour your rolling pin to stop the pastry from sticking. Cut out 12 circles, which should be a little bit bigger than the circumference of the hole for your tins. Prick the bottoms with a fork to stop them rising in the oven. Then you need to prepare the pastry cases ready for blind baking. Line each pastry case with a little bit of parchment and fill with baking beans. A little tip is to transfer these into the freezer for 10 minutes. This will just prevent the pastry from shrinking at all while they bake in the oven. Bake at 190 degrees for 8 minutes before removing the beans and baking for another 5 to 6. Add to these a spoonful of your cooled caramel mixture, about halfway up the pastry case. Top with the same amount of chocolate frangipane. Now another little tip, wet your finger and tap the top of the frangipane to make the smooth surface and gently push the mixture to the edges. This will ensure that they bake evenly. Bake again at 190 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes until the frangipane has risen and the caramel starts to bubble. I've used a star stencil to decorate mine, but you can use whatever you like. You could just use a little bit of icing sugar or some cocoa powder. These Christmas pies make a great present and look very sweet wrapped in little bags with personalised tags. A truly delicious treat for all your friends and family.